Hello, my name is Ethan, and welcome back to another episode of Path of Exile Delirium League 3.10. In this episode, I'm going to show a build that I've put together that I'm just not happy about, but we're going to be putting out a video anyways. And so, I put together another Redemption Sentry build, and so this time, we forego a ton of survivability for more damage. And so this time we have about 800,000 damage in the POB per spectre, and they shoot like that. And so they're full screen AoE with 800,000 per, and then they shoot like that. So they're literally, every shot is going to be hitting like everything, and it's really cool. And so to give a brief description, so this is Redemption Sentries. You can find them in the Redeemer Influence Citadel, or you can go to Global 820 like this and go to the Global and say looking for Redemption Sentry. Like, I'll show you how easy this is. It's happened, I've already done it 3 times just to see how often you could do it. You never have to go and get one yourself. Okay, looking for, watch this. Okay, that's just to show about how to get the Spectre. Okay, so then next, once you have the Spectre, you do this, and to make it do this, see that? You see, so this is the Spectre 2123, and we link it with Awaken Minion damage. So the most important thing is Feeding Frenzy to make them have the really long range and aggressiveness. This is one of the biggest problems with the build, is proximity shields. Let me turn this off. Okay, so let me go into detail how this build works. So you have Redemption Sentries, you link them with Race Spectre, Awaken Greater Multiple Projectiles, Awaken Fork, Awakened LE damage with attacks, Feeding Frenzy, and Awaken Minion damage. You don't need the Feeding Frenzy on them if you want to link it with more damage, but Feeding Frenzy gives them the crazy aggression and the crazy range, and it's really good. You'll love it. Okay, so this is what I did, and I linked it in a chest plate, and the chest plate's just a +1 Spectre. But anyways, in the wand, I just used Flame Dash, so we have some extra links here. This is not a fully complete build. This is not a full-on build guide. This is more like, hey guys, there's this thing I put together, and this is what I'm doing, and I'm done. I don't want to mess with it anymore. There's so much room for improvement, but I just wanted to put this out here, okay? So the helmet was an Animate Guardian 2123 linked with Carrion Golem. We're using a Carrion Golem in the build because it was pretty good damage on these Spectres. Elemental Army to cap the reses of the Animate Guardian and the Carrion Golem, and to inflict cold exposure. Also, Minion Life. In the shield, I use my Phase Run setup, so Phase Run, Increased Duration, Efficacy, Super Long Phase Run. We use a Precision 123. We use Clarity 1 for my Watcher's Eye that I have. In my glove, with a +2 to level of socketed aura gems, I use Purity of Fire, Ice, Lightning, and Discipline, Val Discipline. And so they're all 23s, 24. And so you get the extra all max res. So 5% max res. Our reses go up to the beautiful 82. In the boot, we have this boot that has an abyssal socket. You don't need this. I just found it. I was like, oh, that looks cool. I don't need the gems, so might as well get an extra socket. And then I run Awakened Generosity with War Banner and Hatred. So this is a Hatred build, and if you wanted a wand better than this one, it would have Hatred Aura Effect, 40%. And the minion damage could be higher, but I didn't want to spend a mirror. And so the helmet's also really bad. It's just a bunch of energy shield and a hatred mana reduction. The chest plate's just a bunch of ES and a Spectre. The boot is level of Spectre and ES and move speed. I use the Grip of the Council for the extra cold damage. We use this belt, which is from my ES Golem build. It's just it's a attribute stacking ES belt. It's pretty good. Same thing with the rings, it's just ES into rings with an endurance charge crafted and some dex. And then the amulet in this build, we use mana reserve with ES intelligence, and we got some strength. It was a pretty good ammy. We used the same flask that I used in my ESCI Golem build, mostly because this build's like chill and AFK, but either way, the flasks are Quicksilver with move speed and increased effect and reduced duration. Reduced charges used on my Silver Flask with immune to bleed. We have the Rumi's Concoction Granite Flask, Pog, the Basalt Flask. This you could have freeze immune, and on this you could go for like keep the curse immune here, have freeze immune here, because we technically don't have freeze immune in this build. And then we have, because we're not an elementalist, and then Mana Flask, curse immune. Pog champ, I love it. The skill tree, this is what I went for. And so I'll explain what I did here. This is pretty important. So we're a witch, necromancer. We went spectres, and the biggest, most important thing about my skill tree is the cluster jewels. I went for this 8-point cluster jewel, and when you do renewal, vicious bite, 2 jewel sockets, this is god tier. Or you can also do feasting fiends, but anyways, vicious bite is the best node in the cluster jewels for minions, and it works on specters. So I stacked vicious bites in every large cluster. I have 3 vicious bites, so there's 9 vicious bites in the build, and then we have 3 renewals. So as you can see, I cleared a tier 16. This was 2 crimson, 1 black oil, and so the most important nodes on the cluster jewels are vicious bites. So I used 3 large cluster jewels with 2 jewel sockets, a renewal, and a vicious bite, and then I use that in the 2 jewel sockets I use 2 megalomaniacs in each one, and the megalomaniac is just vicious bite. This is the same that I would do for most of the specter builds and zombie builds and pretty much everything. Like all zombie, skelly, and specters all just go vicious bite because it's absolutely broken. So that's what I recommend there. Then in the rest of the skill tree, I have all those jewels. We use 1 unending hunger. Ooh, fragment of the phoenix, hydra, and chimera. Pog. I haven't done tier 16s for a little while. It feels pretty good, dude. Also, this build cleared fine. The only problem you're gonna find if you play it is survivability issues. And if you want, you can actually sacrifice even more energy shield. You could take yourself down to like 4,000, 4,700, and you'll have 1.4 million damage. And then if you upgrade the wand and the hell, oh my god, the damage pushes so high in this build. It's actually pretty insane. I also put together, just for fun, I swapped the gems in the chest plate to see what I would run against a boss. So I took Awakened Cold Pen. And then you could take like Awakened Ellie Focus, because you don't want to freeze the boss, because if you freeze the boss it won't phase. So you take like Awakened Ellie Focus and then Cold Pen and minion damage and vicious proj and Awakened Ellie damage, and the damage was like 4 million per specter, so we're pushing like 20 million against bosses, which is pretty insane. These specters are absolutely disgusting, dude. Absolutely disgusting. And that's just the current build with the current survivability, that it already pushes that kind of damage. So, anyways, let's review the rest of the build while I put away my loot. So this was quite a lot of fun to put together. It's been very frustrating at the same time because it's a lot of stuff I don't know and haven't done before. And I was doing it for the first time, and a lot of wasted currency, but that's why I do it for you guys. Okay, so other cool things I did in this build was here we used a Quickening Covenant. So the Quickening Covenant, it will transform the notables to have reduced movement speed, so we just don't take the notables in this area. We get crazy stats and we have 1% mana reserve. Same thing here, Fortress Covenant. You can only run one of these, so I run one of each. They're pretty good jewels. I'd probably run them in the zombie build as well. Okay, so then we have Unending Hunger, one of them with reduced mana. This gives your specters a 50% chance to gain Soul Eater for 20 seconds on kill. It's like a mini headhunter. We use this Watcher's Eye, which is 18% of maximum mana's energy shield while affected by clarity, 10% of physical from hits taken as lightning damage, and unaffected by burning ground while affected by purity of fire. We take all the mana reserve. We even pathed down to here, took an intuitive leap that cost me 55x, and took charisma and reduced mana reservation. We needed all this to finally be able to fit it. We even needed the Stygian Vice with the 1% mana reserve jewel. So if you take it out, oh, yeah, apparently I fixed it. Well, made it up. Okay, so I actually made it, so I fixed it so you didn't even need the 1%. Before, if I took out the jewel, I wouldn't have enough mana to use my abilities. Pretty sick. Okay, either way, we took this looks a lot like my ESCI Golem build, except I took this extra mana reserve. In the beginning, I was anointing Champion of the Cause. I was like, I don't like that. I like my Ravenous Horde. So this is very much like the Golem build, but instead we have the different cluster jewel setups, and then we use these large clusters because Raise and Pillage goes here, and you don't take it, and it's hilarious. It's a 5-point large cluster that gives you 2 jewel sockets and 2 notables for 5. It's disgusting. Then you Megalomaniac Abuse and God tier build. The build's pretty sick. I like it. The clear's cool with Awaken GMP and Awaken Fork. It was a lot of fun to put together, but we're going to be moving on to the next build. I have to go through the items. I didn't do that, so I went through the skill tree, the gems. Let's go through the items. The wand, I went through a couple of the items, but okay, so the wand is a +1. This is what I prioritized. +1 all spell skill gems, +1 minion skill gems, then the minion damage. I tried looking at a bunch of variations with like Hatred Aura effect and all this stuff. They were all AFK, so I just paid 111x for this. It was expensive. This helmet was 20x, so I was prioritizing the mana reserve, and then so I searched for mana reserve and intelligence, and then searched by the amount of energy shield the helmet gives, and looking for a good enchant, and that's why I found that. Just looked for high intelligence and mana reserve, and then I found this. Looking for a boot with 30% move speed, all raise spectre gems, level 1, and then I searched for energy shield, and this was it. Pretty insane. Obviously the rings for my golem build, belt for my golem build. This is Grip of the Council for the extra cold damage, PogChamp, and this shield is actually pretty cool. This is why I realized I didn't explain the items. So in the build we use Necromantic Aegis, all bonuses from an equipped shield apply to your minions instead of you. So this shield actually gives 2 frenzy and power charges to the minions, and 8% of cold damage as extra chaos. So it works really good in this build, obviously, and I really like, this was like the core of the build. We started with the shield and the Spectre idea, and knowing that we would go for a Spectre ES chestplate and a Spectre ES boot. That was the main stuff, and we were going for Grip of the Council. This was the main stuff I was focusing on. Crit, Spectres, Cold, with Vicious Bite stacking. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring what I did before, but big damage version of the Herald. This is what you couldn't do in the Herald build because it was so tanky and had no room left for actual minion stuff. So this I wanted to put together. I'm glad I did. I'm going to strip this now, probably sell it and use the Necro for another build. And leave some comments in the comment section below of any other things you guys want me to do. Out of content, you already know. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for so much support. Thank you guys for loving what I put together here. Thank you. I appreciate all the support. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and my YouTube members. Thank you guys for all the support. I can't do this without you guys. And thank you to anyone new who joins today. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!